Just like you can't be happy all the time, you also can't be unhappy all the time. And I think once you realize that, it becomes a lot easier to deal with the unhappiness when it comes, is just saying to yourself, this will pass.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, great. I can't hear you with these.
Oh, but they're cute.
This is dumb. I'm doing the old headphones. Jesus. They're tangled. Okay. Hello.
Hello.
Yay, I can hear you.
Yay. That was too bad, because that just made us look more alike. Both had over-the-ear
I
headphones,
know!
black tank tops. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got new headphones, and they're great, but apparently I can't get them to work while we're recording the podcast.
They're super cute for people that are not watching video, and you should be.
They're red, and assuming that I don't cut out that part, which I...
That's true, too.
Hello, friends.
Hello, friends.
Wait, do you have a tagline?
That's why I made that face.
I
At
knew
that
it.
moment I realized I do not have a tagline.
And welcome to Pickles and Vodka, the mental health podcast that has been vulnerable on the internet since 2018, but still can't come up with taglines. I'm Christina.
And I'm Lauren.
And we're here with a topic of Lauren's choosing.
Yes.
Because it's a regular topic episode for the first time in weeks. It's finally the two of us just talking about a topic. We skipped last week without saying anything because, well, I was on vacation, first of all. I also totally forgot. So yeah, we were supposed to record the Friday night before I left on vacation, and I completely forgot. And then we were like, well, do we still want to do it? Because I can't edit it anyway.
Yeah, and it was fine because I was at the point of like, oh my god, how am I going to squish this in today? So
it worked out. But yeah, we're back. And I'm excited to hear what topic you've chosen.
We'll see about that.
Oh god.
I've said that I'm not super excited about this, but we could make it fun.
All right.
It's very broad.
You
Those can
have
always work out.
My wavering vote of confidence.
Okay.
But first, Lauren, where are you at?
I feel like I've said this a lot the last few times, but it just continues. Fucking roller coaster. First, I was supposed to close on my condo on June 12th, and then I get a message a few days ago from my realtor saying that the seller's moving out early and they offered that I could close a week early. I was like, June 5th. Yes, please, get me out of here, the faster the better. But it also meant very, very little time to do everything that's left. And like, just as I'm getting excited about that, then she's like, oh, miscommunication. It's like, they are moving out early, but it's June 10th. I was like, well, 2 days earlier. I'll take it.
Okay.
So now it's June 10th.
Okay.
And while that was going on, a friend of a friend who... I don't know all the details. You know, I feel like I'm conjecturing some of it. I think this person is very young and might be like finishing up school because she has a dog that she needs to rehome. Like her thing was saying that she got the dog and her dad was upset that she got the dog and now she has to get rid of it. So that's why I'm thinking like, I think maybe it's a thing like maybe like her parents are still paying for her housing and so they kind of, you know, have a say in that or something like that.
Must be, yeah.
It is a 2-year-old Shih Tzu mix. He's very, very cute. And it just felt kind of like sort of like what I would be hoping for and also kind of like the right time. I mean, like thinking about getting another dog, I noticed, you know, recently that it doesn't make me just feel like I'm just sad that I don't have my dog. It's just kind of like, I'm sort of excited. Like, I remember when I first got Pico, like, the first couple nights that I just, because, of course, a dog from the shelter is going to be, like, scared and everything. You don't want to overwhelm him. And I just kind of, like, curled up next to him and just stared at him and was like, I'm so amazed that you exist.
Oh, my God.
But it was like, instead of like feeling sad about that, then it was like, I also like the thought of a new one. I was like, I'm kind of excited for that moment with someone new. Like, I'll be excited that they exist too. So,
Well, yeah, I was going to ask, how do you know when you're ready? Because it was so recent, objectively speaking. But I think going by the way you feel is really important. And that's something that only you can know when you're ready.
And yeah, and that's what it felt like, is like, I felt like up to this point, I knew that I'd get another one eventually. But when I think about it, I would always ask, like, I don't know, is it right? Is it not? But it just kind of like clicked in my mind at this point that it's like, yeah, I think because I actually felt excited about it. I just didn't feel like sad about what I'm missing and, like hopeful, like, I just hope that you're as good as my last one or anything like that. But anyway, so I'm starting to actually get excited about that. And this is the same day that all of the condo stuff is going back and forth on the dates. And I get a message from her because she had asked if I'd pay $150. And she said she'd just gotten him up-to-date vaccinations and shots and, got him fixed a few months ago. So I was like, that's reasonable. You'd pay more than that at a shelter. She says that she had somebody else that was interested and made an offer for $300 cash. And she said, and this is again why I feel like I'm dealing with somebody young, someone that is more concerned about getting ahead at this point or something like that. Because she was like, if you want to make another offer, but I think I'm going to go with this one. I was like, I'm not bidding on a dog. It didn't sit well with me.
It makes me concerned about the dog because, like, obviously they don't care who shakes it, just whoever has the highest.
Right. I mean, she said some other things, she said like, oh, it's a person that has a backyard. And so I was like, okay, so maybe you have some concern for his well-being, but it really, it sounds like you're auctioning off your dog. So, I just said in response to that, I was like, well, I've got a lot going on right now. And, I tried to say it nicely, but I was just kind of like, I'm not in a place to get in a bidding war over a dog. But if it falls through for any reason, he looks really cute. He sounds really sweet. I'd still be interested. So she messages me today and says, actually, it did fall through.
Oh my God.
And so at this point, I'm just keeping it really casual as a just kind of like, if it happens, it happens. In particular, because I did feel like it was just at the point I was letting myself get really excited about it. I was starting to think like, oh, what would I name him? And, it was a Shih Tzu mix. And I was like, he got short little legs. Do I got to get him like some stairs to get on my bed? I'm not sure if he can jump.
Like, oh my God. Wait, how did Pico get on your bed?
He's part flying squirrel. I mean, he jumped like farther and higher than any dog that size should. But yeah. So now it's like, after, again, taking me on that roller coaster, I feel like, okay, I'm interested, but I'm going to stay backed off until it does or does not happen.
Yeah, that's insane. It's like, oh, you get your condo early. Just kidding, you don't. Oh, you get
it a little early. Oh, we found a good dog. Oh, I'm actually excited about him. Oh, wait, someone's offering me more money.
But wait. He could be yours.
But maybe.
But maybe.
Yeah.
All your dreams will come true.
Right.
Oh, man. I would find it hard to trust. I mean, I do find it hard to trust that good things will happen because of shit like that.
Yeah. And that's why, especially after that, that's why I said, like, I'm not putting any stock in it now. I'm not going to let myself get excited about the idea unless it actually happens.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I'd still be interested. It seems like a good fit, if it does.
Yeah, I just know you shouldn't be alone over there.
Yeah. That's a good point. I guess also I've been in my head making some comparisons to moving, and I don't think it's like feeling like this will happen or planning it or anything like that. I think more just, we're two people that think about our past a lot and analyze it. I think it's more, just like that coming up. And I've thought of like past times, like when I lived with a roommate when I first moved to St. Louis for a bit. And then the first place I got here on my own, then it was kind of like I know, like, mental health wise, I've been sort of like teetering back and forth, like, oh, kind of doing okay, kind of not, but I'm making life work. And that was a time where, like, everything just immediately went down the toilet.
Mm.
So, like, it wasn't planned. It was just like I moved and it was just like, okay, crash and burn.
And you feel like that's going to happen again?
I don't necessarily. I think that's why I said it's something that has come up in my mind that it's like, this has happened before. You've moved to a new place and been excited about a new environment. Hopefully not.
Well, it's probably a combination of the underlying mental illness.
Right.
And also, I feel like, at least for me, I set my expectations really high when it comes to a new place. It's really easy to make it the backdrop of all of these things you want to accomplish. And then when things end up being either not changing or getting worse, and the place ends up being not as perfect as you thought, you're just like, oh shit, this is worse than it would have been normally because my expectations were so high.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, because it's like, I've been thinking of that time when everything just like fell apart immediately, but I know both of us have said that we've moved to new places being kind of idealistic too, being like, in this place, I'm never going to binge. In this place, I'm going to get myself into therapy and psychiatrist and be just straightened out in the head and perfect. Yeah, it's like, you gotta know where you're at.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about that.
Oh, good. I never know what you want to say on here because I see some behind the scenes stuff.
Well,
where are you at?
Well, I also don't know what to say on here because there's a lot from my week that we could take into entire episode topics. But in the last week, I was in Myrtle Beach with my family. My parents rented a suite of hotel rooms and they just kind of extended the invitation to any of us local kids. Like, hey, whoever's free, these are the blocks of times you can come. We'll just hang out at the beach. And they rented the hotel rooms for 1 week. The entire week, it was rain on the forecast. Like literally the whole rest of the week before and after was sunny. And then just the days that they booked the rooms, it was rainy, which go figure. But it was really nice overall. It was the first time that I had been in that sort of environment. Like, there was a hot tub. And I was sitting with my sister in it. I was like, I never would have dreamed that we could have been doing this. Like, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, if you asked me if we would ever be doing this as a family, I would say, like, what? Are you kidding me? So, yeah, it was super nice. It didn't rain the whole time, so I got a lot of... I have a really weird sunburn. I don't know if you can see it, but I got sunburned in the most random...
Can sort of. Is it kind of like, under your arms? And
my armpits. Under my arms.
That's what I'm seeing.
I don't know how this even happened. And then, I'm not going to take down my shirt, but, like, just my sternum down is sunburned. But, like, my boobs and everything around it is not sunburned. I don't really know how it happened.
I don't know how that happens.
So... It was nice, but it was also rough because, as I predicted, I was triggered in the ways I'm normally triggered around my family. I don't know. Everyone was on their best behavior and very accommodating and very conscientious about everything, but I still felt like an outcast and I felt like a burden. And the emotions were just a lot, and things would happen that would illustrate the differences between me and my family, just little things, like something my dad said at a restaurant, or like, whatever, stupid things, but it all adds up, and it's just like, man, what am I doing here? So yeah, I didn't cope the best all week. I haven't been doing too great in terms of that. And one of my family members called me out on it, I guess.
Mhm.
And I don't know what to say, but it made me really upset. I'll just say it was my sister that I'm getting a place with. I know she wouldn't mind if I'm saying this because
Okay.
she would probably say it on the podcast. But yeah, she was just like, I see what you're going through and it really upsets me. I hate seeing you like that. And I'm worried about getting a place with you and you just continuing to do these things there.
Mhm.
And I was like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. I'm working on it. I'm in therapy. I'm on meds. Like, I tell people when it happens, but you're right. I mean, I've said this so many times on the podcast. Like, my problem is I don't want to recover.
Yeah.
Like, I guess my willpower just isn't strong enough, and that's basically why we started fighting. Because I was like, "Are you just saying I need to try harder?" Because, like, at this point, I don't know what else I can do.
Yeah, you can't force a person to have more willpower.
And I'm not gonna tell you I'm never gonna do this again because
Mhm.
we know what happens when you promise those things.
Yes, like saying, I'm going to go into this new apartment and have no behaviors.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how many times that's been a thing where I get a new place and
Yep.
like, I'm never going to buy alcohol here. I'm never going to binge and purge here, you know?
And then how shitty do you feel when you do? I feel like worse than if you had just gone in saying like, hopefully maybe this won't happen as often.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it pissed me off. And at the same time, she has a point. So right now I'm just kind of basically being like, how pissed off do I have a right to be? And also, like, what are some things I can say to her or people who ask me because we can talk about this actually. She reads my Substack, which is where I post writing about my personal life. It's very vulnerable. I write about all sorts of things. I don't really have much of a filter. And I've had multiple family members read stuff that I posted on there and be worried. And then each of those family members then came back and was like, I'm just going to unsubscribe because I can't stand to read this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And what I wanted to say was like, that is my niche, is really vulnerable writing, but that's not my entire identity. Like, that's all I write about, but that doesn't mean that's all that I am.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I have a whole life outside of mental health stuff. I mean, you know, shocker. I have.
Yeah.
This isn't the only thing that I am, is like mental health podcaster or like mental health writer.
Right. I will say about that because I don't read your Substack every time, but I'd say about like 2/3 of it. You know, I read a fair amount, and I feel like just talking to you every week, and you know, still sometimes conversing on Peach or just through random texts and things like that. That I do not I don't feel like your Substack is all that you are. I feel like it is a place for you to get like all of the darkest thoughts and things like that, because I agree. If that is all I saw, I mean, not that I'm never, you know, concerned about how you're doing and anything, but yeah, I would be really super worried if I thought this is it 24/7 because this is all I see of you. And so I understand that. And also I wonder, like, this I felt like kind of maybe goes into like why I am not open like this at all with my family, is sometimes I think that family is kind of too close to really, for them to be able to take all of like the darkest side. It kind of makes sense. I mean, it's too bad, I think, that because you would think that they would also be able to see the rest, but
yeah,
it's almost like you are too close to the person that, yeah, you can't really deal with all of that.
Because they see the goofy, weird side of me that I don't show on the internet. But, yeah, they might not see the darker sides of things that I do hide around them. And so when they read it on the internet, they might not know, oh, how much of this is her and how much
Yeah,
is.
and I feel like, maybe if you are like super close to somebody and they are really important in your life, like a parent or a sister or something like that, and you see that, then that could even like cause your mind to immediately jump to the worst, like, oh, maybe what I'm seeing is a facade and this is actually all the time. And now I am so worried, about my sister or my daughter or whatever like that, where, like you said, the truth is you're a mix of everything. But I think it's harder when you're closer to someone and care about them more. Like you just immediately just like see the bad and you're like, I want to fix it.
Yeah, I felt like she wanted me to reassure her that I was, but like, there is a cat meowing in the background, so I'm a little distracted.
It's very, very quiet, but I did hear it.
Yeah, I'm just kind of...
Okay, that one was a little... Hold on.
You want to come in too? Come on.
Come in, Tailless Wonder.
Come on. All right.
So Ruby's eyes were like shiny on your thing, and I'd already called Fang the Tailless Wonder, so I'm calling them Tailless Wonder and Demon Cat today.
I love that. But yeah, I'm back from vacation. I'm trying to get caught up on stuff, and I'm feeling okay. It's good to get back to the normal routine and making this podcast.
Yeah. So I had warned Christina, because I've said, like, I'm mediocre on my topic, but I do also have two totally off-topic things that I want to talk about. I'm going to bookend the topic with them. I'm kind of hoping to somehow make the first one, like, lead into it. I'm not sure about that, but the last one will be the perfect ending.
All right.
So this, I had mentioned this before because I'm rereading because I felt like I read through this book way too fast. It's called Good Girls, A Story and Study of Anorexia, and it's by Hadley Freeman.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, like it's one where it's kind of like, it is a little bit memoir, but it is a lot of, just kind of like her thoughts on things. And rereading it, because this has come up, I feel like multiple times, and I've never heard someone explain it as well as I mean it. She's talking about the idea of triggers and trigger warnings and how, to some degree, they don't really work. Like, I don't mind us saying, like, trigger warnings here, because I feel like if you're going to use it respectfully, if like, this is bad for me and I won't listen, then yes, I would rather give you the heads up. But I think it's the idea of kind of just like erasing things completely just because they could trigger somebody.
Mm.
And so after talking about it a little bit, then she says, parents don't like to hear this kind of talk, and I understand that. They want guarantees about how to protect their children, to be told that if they ban this or don't let them see that, then everything will be fine. But when you're vulnerable, the whole world is a trigger. After all, millions of other people can look at photos of models or be told that they look normal without becoming anorexic. So the issue isn't the trigger, but the triggered. An upsetting comment is upsetting only if you find it so. A friend who works in TV once asked me if I thought a program he was making about diets would upset people with eating disorders. To which the answer was, of course. But so will songs by bands and celebrity jokes. And of course, people should stop equating thinness with achievement, because it makes a lot of people, anorexic and not, unhappy. But you cannot remodel the world to protect those who are constantly looking for justifications to hurt themselves.
Wow. Yeah, I really like the line, when you're vulnerable, everything is a trigger. It reminded me of shopping when you're hungry, like grocery shopping when you're hungry.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, everything is going to look good, even the things you wouldn't normally be drawn to. It's like when you're vulnerable,
Yeah, it made me think of like you said, when you're vulnerable, then I feel like a lot of people do that it's almost like, because you already are feeling that way, you want things to trigger you. So you find any little thing, and are like, yes, that set me off, and that, yep. But it's because you're like looking for it and wanting it.
I would literally Google like self-harm scars or whatever the search method was.
Mm-hmm.
I would look on Zynga, self-harm, or Tumblr.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Tumblr was a big one. I used to look up pornographic stories on Tumblr.
Oh, wow.
There were like coded hashtags you could use, and that was like the spiciest my search history got. I don't know how we got into this.
I don't know.
But we're going to find it. If we want it, we're going to find it.
Yes. And speaking of if you want it, you're going to find it. I'm really reaching for this. So, my topic is happiness.
Wonderful. This shouldn't take very long. We don't have very much experience with it.
But I was hoping... I had notes when I thought we might have to do this last week, and now I don't know where they are, of course. But I'll try to remember some of the things I was thinking of touching on that was just, like, basically, I mean, how do you find happiness would be good. I was thinking a lot of things of, like, do we put too much weight on being happy? Like, is it okay to be unhappy sometimes?
I mean, of course. Mm-hmm. I would say yes to both questions.
Right, for sure. But I feel like a lot of people, like, don't view it that way and think that that's supposed to be, like the ideal life is you would always be happy.
Yeah.
I don't think that would be.
For some reason right now I'm thinking of this quote, life is full of suffering, but that doesn't mean you have to suffer needlessly. When I think of my ideal life...
You've said that before, and I like it.
Yeah, I forget who said it originally, but when I think of my ideal life, I don't think of a life where I don't suffer at all, but I think of a life where my suffering has meaning. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, when I'm stuck on the hamster wheel of bulimia, for instance, it's like I'm suffering a lot, but it doesn't have any meaning.
Yeah. The term hamster wheel, really, for some reason, just, like, set that idea right, that it's kind of like, it's not necessarily that you have to be happy all the time, but feeling like you're going nowhere and you're stuck.
Yeah, you're just stuck on the hamster wheel of unhappiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think happiness is a lasting thing, like an end point. I think it's like a drug high. You can experience it for a limited amount of time, but then it fades. It's not like an ideal state.
You just reminded me. So one of my all-time favorite movies, it was made around like 2000, so it's pretty old at this point, called State and Maine. And it just has a bunch of like really like good quirky dialogue. And like one of the characters asks, like, do you ever get down or something like that? She's like, of course people get down. If you were never down, how would you ever know when you're up? I was like,
that's true.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the movie The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith and his son. Did you ever see that movie?
I never saw that, but I do. You just like brought up a memory of my uncle talking about that movie, and I just, in a way that I was like, I don't think that we see these things the same, but I'm just going to smile and nod and say, yeah, I'm sure it's a great movie.
Well, now I'm curious to hear what he thinks about it. But I watched it when I was in middle school, and basically it's about Will Smith. Will Smith. Will Smith. Will Smith plays this character whose wife leaves him with their little son, and he loses his job, and the whole movie is about him trying to get this stock trading job, and he's going through all these obstacles and having to find daycare for the son and all this stuff, places to sleep. And it's the most stressful movie I'd ever watched at that point.
I can imagine.
And because my family had their own financial struggles, and so it was like watching a horror movie about what would happen if my worst fears came true.
Yeah, like the worst case scenario for you guys.
Yeah, so with someone with budding anxiety, it wasn't the best. But at the end, everyone gets what they want. The movie's called The Pursuit of Happiness. And so I'm like, well, so to be happy, you have to go all through that shit first. I don't know if I want to be happy. Like, I don't think it's worth it.
Like, that's one thing I remember when my uncle was talking about it, is knowing an idea of the story and knowing what it was called, Because he said, he was like, oh, like I really liked it and everything, but I wish at the end that they'd shown more and you got to see him like with the big house and with, a happy family walking out there and all that kind of stuff. And not only did that sound like overkill, but I was like, that's why you don't make movies. But also, I just remember it kind of like sitting in my brain of the idea then that it was called Pursuit of Happiness. And I was just kind of like, but you like sometimes you get what you want and it doesn't make you happy. Like the idea here is they're saying, yup, he got what he want, which means he got happiness. And I'm like, maybe not.
Maybe happiness is just the friends we make along the way, Lauren.
That's true.
Gotta stop riffing. Gotta tell myself that. I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical or cynical when it comes to happiness now. It's kind of like true love. It's like, oh, that's something that movie producers created to make money.
Yeah.
Or like heaven. It's a nice idea, but I don't really believe it exists. Like happiness, it's kind of the same thing. I think we can experience joy. We can experience pleasure.
Yes.
We can experience fulfillment, like a deep fulfillment. But are those things happiness?
That's true. You just made me realize that I think in my brain, because I do think of pleasure or joy as different from happiness. And I was like, I think what I equate happiness with is contentment.
Yeah.
I think I've made those interchangeable, but that doesn't mean they are. That just means that sometimes I feel content.
Yeah.
Is happy really a thing?
Well, and I kind of view happiness the same way, like as contentment or satisfaction. But as a drug addict, I'm like, it takes more and more to make you satisfied. And so if you're making happiness the same thing as satisfaction, then it takes more and more to make you truly happy. And you're never satisfied with like the thing that made you happy in the first place. Am I saying to microdose happiness? I don't know. Maybe.
That's just an interesting idea to me. I mean, just because as we're talking, then I'm realizing, like I said, I think of it as contentment. And I think content is a good word, I feel like, for me, because I do think of that as kind of like a lighter version or smaller doses. I mean, something big would be like elation. and that's a very rare one. Oh. I feel like I came up with saying content as me recognizing that it doesn't mean that I just have to be like, everything is perfect in rainbows, or just like, I'm jumping out of my skin, I'm so excited. It just means, like, my coffee was really good this morning. I'm content.
Yeah, this coffee made me happy.
Yeah.
That meme made me happy. Does my job make me happy? Well, the job doesn't make me feel happy. No one likes their job, but it enables me to not stress about money. I'm able to be content in my financial status.
Yeah, like I'm content when I go to bed, not worrying if I'll be evicted.
Exactly.
I can pay my bills. So, yeah.
But yeah, it's like, it all comes down to semantics. I think happiness...
That's kind of like background happiness. Because it's like, you're not actively doing anything or recognizing it. It just means like...
Contentment, you mean?
Yeah.
Just a general state of contentment with your life. Yeah, that's a different kind of happiness than the happiness that comes with like getting engaged, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Or publishing a book.
Yeah.
There's something that we'll understand more.
Yeah.
getting an award for your top-rated podcast.
Performing with your band.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's a different sort of happiness that is closer to ecstasy, I would say. And that sort of happiness, it might not last a long time, but I think the power of that can sustain you for a long time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's like, oh, that's what that feels like. I all this stuff I'm dealing with is worth it for that moment.
Yeah, because I think part of like why those big things can't be sustained too is because you usually got to put a lot more effort into it. I mean, imagine, you could not be just sitting here, just like as fast as I can write, I'm publishing books. I couldn't be like, I'm performing with my band every single night,
Yeah.
Like that would get exhausting and you would just be like, can I stop being happy? I need a nap.
Well, yeah, that's like drinking a bottle of wine every night.
Mm-hmm.
You'll eventually just be really bloated and achy, and it won't get you drunk anymore.
Yeah.
You're going to have to keep going. That's what happens when you binge on happiness.
So I guess that answers sort of answers the question that I was thinking next is like, what do you think about people, because I'm sure people do this, that like go to all like extremes to avoid unhappiness?
I think those people have a reason to be afraid of unpleasant emotions. And that's assuming that if you're not happy or unhappy. I do that a lot too. It's either one or the other. Like happiness is that euphoric periodic feeling, not the contentment you can feel every day. And obviously it's not sustainable. And so, sorry, what was the question again?
What do you think of just like going to all extremes to avoid unhappiness?
Oh yeah, just like you can't be happy all the time, you also can't be unhappy all the time. And I think once you realize that, it becomes a lot easier to deal with the unhappiness when it comes, is just saying to yourself, this will pass.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be needless.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's also something that, because I feel like there are people that do everything in their power to avoid being unhappy. And it's almost, this doesn't work because I am still needlessly terrified of them to this day. But like being afraid of spiders. And then, say one like crawls on you and you don't die. And it's like, oh, I did not need to be so afraid of that. Like, it makes me think of like that if things have gone well for you, that you would just almost push yourself almost probably into unhappiness without realizing it because you're stressing yourself out. Being like, I have to avoid anything unpleasant and anything unhappy because you don't think that you can deal with it.
I think it's a mark of emotional immaturity when someone is like that, because if you think about it, we're all like that when we're kids because we haven't experienced anything bad. Like your first relationship ever, the thing you're most afraid of is breaking up. And then you go through your first breakup and you're like, okay, that sucked, but everyone's gone through this. I can survive it.
Yeah, you're still not like, I'd like to do that every week.
Yeah. But let's say, you're in your...
It happens again, and even you can be just as devastated, but kind of like know in the back of your mind, like, I will survive this.
Yeah, so those people who are really afraid of breaking up in their 30s or 40s, maybe they just haven't had as many relationships, maybe they have had really good luck, and so they haven't had as many breakups, and they're afraid of ruining their streak.
Mm-hmm. Or, there are people that marry the first person they date.
Well, yeah, maybe they're just so afraid of being unhappy that they settle. Not saying that's everyone.
No, and not even necessarily, because from the conversation we're having, it sounds like a lot of people like might not even realize it. Like say that you start dating someone, your first person you start dating when you're in high school, you're like 17. You stay together all through college because you have a decent life and you don't have like anything horrible to get through. So it's pretty comfortable. And then you just think you'll get married. And then, when you're 30, then you start having issues, but you kind of like pretend like they're not there because you're like, well, no, because this is all I've known and this is good.
Yeah. And you think you're happy, but you're not happy. You're just not unhappy. And that's the classic thing that lots of couples go through. Like they would rather be comfortable than alone, because to them being alone is the worst kind of... Fang doesn't want to be in the room.
Like it was also making me think of like days when it was more common to have like arranged marriages and things. Like now we hear that because we all feel like we have choice of anything. And it's like, that had to be awful. But I bet there were a lot of arranged marriages, I mean, I'm certain of it, that worked out very well and they learned to love each other and everything. But, I do think a lot of it could be the same thing, that it's just kind of like there's a lot worse that I could have ended up with, and I'm used to this person and it's comfortable.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of some of the things that I've been through to get to the point right now where, compared to past versions of myself, I would say I'm kind of happy right now. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to the future and I'm not stressing about work as much, and I'm surrounded by people who love me, but I don't feel happy all the time, obviously.
Yeah.
But because I'm in my 30s, like I've lived enough life to know that just because I don't feel happy doesn't mean I'm not doing good and I'm not in a state of happiness, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when I was when I was in my 20s, I was with a guy that I met in Christian school and we were planning to get married someday, and I really thought I was happy, but I would like cry during sex when I pictured us breaking up because a sad song came on. Like, I'm not even kidding. It was my worst nightmare. And it happened, and it was the worst thing I ever went through. I was right.
Yeah.
But I had to get through that to experience like the contentment that comes when I'm single and investing in my friendships and owning my personality, not attaching it to someone else, and I had to go through the pain to get to that.
Yeah, I was thinking that specifically when you started that and said, like things I had to go to get to where I'm at, I realized like I think one thing that I'm grateful for is when I think back of the times when I had like major financial insecurity. And, like obviously I would relate that to largely being unhappy, but like that's something that I think today that it's like, yeah, I wouldn't change that though. I mean, I feel like that's made me more reasonable as far as, like dealing with finances and things like that. And yes, of course, it sucked when I was going through it. But now, so maybe like part of it is that I can look back and be like, okay, well, it didn't kill me and I'm still here. But yeah, I just feel like sometimes kind of grateful for that experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm really curious to see how the dictionary defines happiness, because I feel like most of what we are using to describe happiness is just other words. So like, what is happiness definition? Oh, the state of being happy, real helpful.
Yep.
A state of well-being and contentment, a pleasurable or satisfying experience. So yeah, a state or an experience.
Yeah.
So kind of you get to define it how you want to, is how I take that.
Yeah, it also sounds like the saying kind of like happiness happens to you, like it's not you, like despite the fact that there's, a million drug commercials for random antidepressants being like, oh, it'll make you happy. Like it doesn't actually just, it's not just like this flower blooming within you. It's more like external circumstances, and you can't necessarily control that. And you can't necessarily predict that. So I guess if you're feeling happy, write it out.
You can't manufacture happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you feel happy right now, you lucky dog, go enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop listening to this sad podcast. Go get an ice cream cone or something.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I went to the Pineapple Hut for the first time. Speaking of things that made me happy, in Myrtle Beach, there's this restaurant called the Pineapple Hut, and it's pineapple soft serve. It's vegan, and they only have like 5 menu items, but they serve it out of like a real pineapple half.
Ooh.
And it's just so fucking good. I had it with coconut sprinkles on top.
Yeah.
That made me very happy.
Okay. Well, like I said before, I felt like scattered about this topic and I didn't even know if it was going to land. So, do you have anything else to say about it?
I guess the one thing we didn't really talk about is like how to be happy, because I don't know what to do with it. Obviously, I've talked about it before. And I think having had this discussion and viewing it as like a temporary state,
Yeah.
it makes me feel less guilty about being happy and just want to enjoy it while it lasts.
That makes sense, because I know both of us have talked about that too, that it's almost like we think of it in terms, I feel like, of like other people aren't feeling this right now, or there's been times where things have been bad and it could always turn that way again. Yeah.
Well, it's like when it's been raining for a week and the sun comes out, you're not going to sit there looking at your phone like, when is it going to rain again?
Like, and it's going to rain again tomorrow. Yeah.
Exactly. You just
go out and enjoy the sun.
Yeah, if it rains again, so what? Like, you know it's going to rain again. That doesn't...
it's going to rain again before I die, so it's not a surprise.
Exactly. So, yeah, just dance around in the happiness.
So with that, I will tell you my other totally off-topic thing.
Oh, please.
And you should look this up while I'm talking about it.
Okay.
Because I am tempted to purchase this. It is a video game called Kind Words. And it looks like the most adorable, wholesome thing I can imagine. It is pretty much real people. You write nice notes to them, and you can request nice notes.
A game about writing letters... Wait, a game about writing nice letters to real people. Write and receive encouraging letters in a cozy room. Trade stickers and listen to chill music.
Yeah. And I was actually like watching a little bit of a playthrough. I guess like they've recently come out with a second one, Kind Words 2. And there's also a little cafe where you have a little, like, why am I losing the word? Little animated person of you walking around.
An avatar?
Yes, an avatar of yourself. And you can walk in and you can ask for recommendations. And you can send paper airplanes that are just like nice thoughts that just like anyone walking by can read. Just, like a nice little quote or something you want to put into the world.
Oh my god! I'm on the website
excited.
now.
Yes, because I was reading reviews too, and they said like the reception is so good because you could imagine it being terrible. And they said, like obviously if someone's not accepting their terms, you report it. But I saw something that said like less than 3% of their messages get reported, and most of them are people just like totally talking off topic. So people aren't actually using it to go on and be like, I'm going to spew bullshit like every comment section on the internet. Like, it's genuinely nice.
Wow. It's only $5 on Steam. I want to buy it.
I know. That's why. But I really loved the second one, which is $20. That's why I'm debating. I was like, oh, it looks like even better. Like, I want to get reviews, if I just tell people, like, I'm reading this kind of book and I like it. Do you know something like that? And they'll write back and say, yeah.
So it goes to... so do your requests go to random players, or how do they see it?
Yeah, I think it's like whoever's in the game.
Oh, so whoever's live in the game.
Yeah.
Oh man, that sounds like it could be fun.
I know.
What's the poll gonna be for this episode? We actually don't have any polls out right now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we kind of backed ourselves into that corner.
Yeah, so let's ask a question that listeners can answer.
What benefits have you gotten from unhappiness?
Because
we didn't get into that, I feel like, as much, but I'm really curious about, like, the purpose of not being happy.
Yeah, we're not saying it's good or bad. We're just saying, what do you get out of it?
Yeah.
All right.
I know. As soon as I thought that, I was like, wait, we didn't ask a good or bad question, right? Because we got called out for that.
We have received
Which is
feedback.
true. We do that a lot.
Yeah.
It's two people that do too much black and white thinking.
We're trying to be less binary on this podcast. So yeah, we're still offering our limited time promotion, I guess. If you send in a voice message for the first time, then you'll get a free sticker in the mail. We have really cute stickers. You can go to our Substack to see them. And yeah, we'll see you next week at the same time, hopefully.
Yeah.
I won't forget And are you going to be moving it to your place? Not next week.
Well, yeah, now I'm not sure. Originally, I was going to say the week that I move, which will be the week after next, then we might have to skip a week. But now that the closing's moved up to Tuesday, I might have my shit together enough to carve out an hour.
So TBA on that.
Yes, episode next week, TBD on the one after.
And you might get a new dog in the meantime.
That's true too.
All right.
All right.
Until then, bye.
Bye.
If you like what you heard, tell a friend about the podcast. You can send them to picklesandvodka.substack.com, where they can listen to our entire catalog and find our newest merch. We love hearing from our listeners, so leave us a voice message at speakpipe.com/picklesandvodka. My personal Instagram is at xtinajumper, and Lauren's is at Lauren3_AFH. We'll see you next week.